let's jump right into it. So before we get started, we do always like to introduce ourselves so you guys know who you're going to be working with. So my name's Emily. I'm the head of student athlete success over here at SportsRecruits. I work with our customer success team. So that's the team of individuals. If you ever need help with your profile, you're emailing in to help or calling in, I work with them to make sure we're giving you your answer. I also work with our recruiting analyst team, which is a team of individuals that works with student athletes going through the recruiting process and providing them any information and guidance that they need. And then finally, our sales team as well. So, a little bit about my recruiting process. I was strictly looking Division III, where I ended up at a small liberal arts school called Franklin and Marshall College, and I played basketball there. I worked in the athletic department. I worked with various different teams, and I was also the assistant to the associate athletic director. So again, really excited to be working with you guys this afternoon, and happy to have Jami and Heather on with us.
Is that me next?
Yeah.
I'm Jami Lobpries. I'm the CEO of the Alliance Fastpitch, and I'll talk a little bit more about the Alliance Fastpitch here shortly. But I guess a quick overview of myself. Played softball at Texas A&M. It's a little heartbreaking right now, as we were the number one seed in college softball this year. But got the opportunity to play in a couple Women's College World Series. Went on to play professionally and coach college for a little bit, and then have spent the last 10 years working in the industry, both at USSSA and now the last 5 years at the Alliance Fastpitch.
Am I up next?
Yep, all you, Heather.
All right. My name's Heather Allister. I, along with my dad, run OnDeck Softball. They started OnDeck Softball as a report business, just going out to tournaments and scouting. And I joined them about 10 years ago. I had a process with recruiting. I went to a junior college in California, where we actually won California junior, the junior college tournament. And then I went on to play at Missouri for 2 years. And I've been working with OnDeck Softball for 10 years now.
Awesome. Great. Jami, Heather, thanks again for joining us this afternoon. And I'm going to pass it to both of them to just walk through both of these organizations. And then we'll get into today's agenda, again, talking about the importance of events and how to be navigating the crazy summer event season.
Before I jump in, I forgot the most important part about my recruiting story, but it is relevant. I went to camp at Texas A&M and won the running competition. So that is literally going to events was the camp specifically, and getting my metrics, Heather, was the genesis. Then getting recruited. But a little bit about the Alliance Fastpitch. You can see here we were founded in 2020, and you can see at the bottom the 9 different regional leagues that we had. And what really came together in the heart of COVID was all of these travel ball organizations working together regionally under the umbrella that is the Alliance Fastpitch. So really, we are a national organization, and I like to think of us as the connector of all the travel ball teams and organizations across the country. The big things about us, we pride ourselves on unity and collaboration of working together, both at the national level, where, in fact, I just got off a meeting with our board of directors, which are representing some of the largest travel ball organizations across the country. We also do that regionally, where each one of these member leagues, they're all working together off the field, even though they compete on the field. But the other part of our mission is the athlete and the athlete experience. So we ask ourselves all the time, is this what's best for the sport? Is this what's best for the athlete? And those big things have brought us all together under what is now the Alliance Fastpitch. And I think on the next slide, these 4 pillars. So obviously competition is a huge part of what we do. We create these regional pathways to national championships. We encourage competition. We also like to recognize our athletes for their performances on the field. We're the first organization that has really created a history of travel ball. We have your season stats, we have leaderboards, we have players of the month, we have team rankings throughout the season. So very similar to NCAA softball, your body of work as a team and as an athlete throughout the season then help shape our player awards, our recognition, and our national championships. The last two pillars are super important from development and community. We want to help empower our parents with partnerships like with SportsRecruits and with OnDeck around recruiting. We want to help develop our coaches. We do things year round for our coaches to help them work with these youth athletes. And then we've built a community, both regionally and then nationally as well. And you can see some of the testimonials from our athletes on here of what have they enjoyed the most. And of course, a lot is going to be around competition and preparing these athletes for the next level, for whatever division of college that they want to play. We try to put them in these environments that prepare them for this. And then our last slide, just a little bit to show, this is Taylor Shoemaker, who played 4 years in the Alliance, won all kinds of awards. You can see that in her trophy case, was an Alliance All-Star. But what's really cool about this particular profile is a direct link to SportsRecruits, which every athlete gets. So Taylor went on to be National Freshman of the Year this year. But for every single athlete inside the Alliance, they get this profile, which for us is a collection of their travel ball stats, their awards, a little bit of information. But what's great about this is it directly links, and every single Alliance member gets that direct link to their SportsRecruits profile. So here's your travel ball history. And then for college coaches or anybody that wants to take a step further and start looking at the recruiting aspect and communicating with these players, then that would take them directly to this player's SportsRecruits profile. So all kinds of fun membership benefits of the Alliance. Really excited about what we've done and continue to do specifically for the athlete. So it's a little bit about us.
Yeah. Thanks, Jamie.
All right. So a little bit about OnDeck softball. As I said, we started out as just a report company. My dad was a college basketball coach. College basketball recruiting is probably a little ahead of where softball is, or like the organizations behind it. So when my sister and I were going through the recruiting process in high school, he noticed that there was not a. Sorry, my AirPods went out.
No, you're good.
There was not a source to go to find players, to scout players, to utilize for the coaches to connect with players. They were just going out to tournaments and hoping to find the players to fill their rosters. So my dad and mom started OnDeck softball. This will be our 25th year. And it just kind of has blossomed from a small report into events that went across the country. We have started counting the number of players that participate in Division I regionals. This year, we had 410 former players participate. In regionals, 301 in supers, and we have 67 that competed in the Women's College World Series. We are heavily D1 focused, but that doesn't mean that we don't. Junior colleges, NAIA, D2, and D3 schools. They really, because their recruiting budgets are smaller, they really rely on us for the reports that we send out, for the information that we're able to give without them having to go out to a tournament. At our events, they can come and watch. We don't pay the coaches to be there. And they really just get a great evaluation. And then we send that report to college coaches across the country after every single one of our camps.
It's awesome.
So this is a little bit kind of about our events and what we have. We hold tryouts that are open to any player. They are kind of more regionally specific. So we try and get out to different areas of the country. And we put them through a workout. We don't limit players in what they can do. Their ODM numbers, as Jamie talked about, metrics are a huge thing, especially nowadays. The more information that you can give a college coach that represents you as a player, the better. So we have ODM at every single event, and coupled with an evaluation, we then pick players to invite to our jamborees and our elite camps. And those are invitation only. They are pre-screened to so the college coaches know that we've already evaluated these players.
Mhm. Awesome. Yeah, I mean, both of these organizations, Alliance and OnDeck, are really pivotal for softball players going through the process. Like Jamie said, her own personal experience going to camps, being seen in person by college coaches is so important. But also on the other side, as Heather mentioned, stats are also really important. And college coaches can't be everywhere depending on their budget. However, they are getting these stats from events. So it's really important as you're navigating the recruiting process, no matter where you are, you should be attending certain types of events. So what I'm going to talk about, here's a quick agenda, is really everything you would need to know surrounding the summer event season. So I'm first going to break down the different types of events and what they mean and what you can expect from there. Then I'm going to talk about how to identify what's a personal versus non-personal invite from a college coach, how you should be creating your event strategy for the summer. It doesn't make sense to attend every prospect day or camp or clinic on your target list. There's not enough time, and that is very expensive. So we're going to talk about what events are worth it for your summer event season with where you are in your recruiting process. Once you're at the event, how to make it worth it, what you should be doing there, what you should be doing before, and what you should be doing after. And then overall, just making the most out of your trip when you're traveling around this summer. Jamie and Heather, feel free to pop in at any point if I'm missing anything or anything you want to add to these upcoming slides. So first, we just have the different types of events. So we broke it down into 4 different categories here. We have prospect days, we have camps, clinics, we have showcases, and then we have tournaments. So high level, a prospect day is usually held by one school. It could last anywhere from 1 to 2 days, and the price really depends on that program. If it's a really popular program or maybe they did really well that last season, the price could be a little bit higher. And then we do have a breakdown of education versus evaluation. So usually at prospect days, you are working very closely with the coaching staff. You're able to speak to them, work through drills with them, and really see their coaching ethic as well, how they would coach you if you were to play at that program. So it's very high evaluation, but there is that 25% of education because you are running through drills and certain things like that. Camps or clinics, they could last anywhere from 1 to 3 days. Again, price depending on how well known that camp or clinic is, maybe how long it is. Number of schools attending could be anywhere from 1 to 12. Camps or clinics are more highly education where college coaches will be there. So there is that, 25% of evaluation. Now, showcases, usually one, I would even say could be 2 days, depending on that type of showcase. And that's where a lot of schools are attending. This is mostly an evaluation type of event. There is that 10% education because there are some showcases where maybe a college coach is coaching your team at that certain showcase. So we do have some of that education as well. But this is a lot of evaluation, college coaches sitting on the sideline and evaluating your play. Then tournaments. This is usually where you're going with your club or your high school. Usually that price is in your club dues. Again, very, very high in terms of how many schools are attending. Could be anywhere from 5 to 100, just depending on how big that tournament is. This is 100% evaluation. Coaches are simply sitting on the sideline and watching you play with your team. Now, with all of these types of events, it can feel a little overwhelming. And it's, when should I be attending which type of event with where you are in your recruiting process? So prospect days, as I mentioned before, it's a lot of one-on-one time interaction with the coaching staff. You're going to be able to get campus experience. You'll probably get a tour. You'll be able to meet the team. And this is a really good event for schools that are high on your list and coaches that you've been in contact with. It doesn't make sense to attend all of the prospect days on your target list. Again, that's a lot of money and that's a lot of time. So it's really important to be honest with yourself. Am I a good fit for this team? Have I been in communication? Does this coach know who I am? I usually tell student athletes that you should be attending these prospect days a little later in your process when you have established a connection with that program or college coach. Showcases and tournaments as well. That's where you're going to get a lot of exposure to many different programs. So you should be attending showcases really throughout your recruiting process. You could be able to be seen by many different schools on your target list. It's really important to research the reputation of these showcases. As Heather mentioned, they have a ton of college coaches coming to their events. And looking at these past websites, you're able to see which college coaches had come in the past, if it makes sense for you to attend a showcase. And then finally, for clinics, heavily skill development. So it's really great to attend early on in your recruiting process. It is a way for you to build a relationship. Hey, I've been to this camp, this clinic in the past. I'm really interested in your program. And again, a lot of the time you should be attending these early on to build that relationship, but then also to continue to develop your skills. So, Heather, did you want to say something? Sorry, I didn't know if you. Okay, all good. So different types of events, you're getting invites. How can you figure out what's personal versus non-personal? So first, let's start with the personal invite, which everyone would love to get. This is very, how can you spot this? It's probably going to be informal, short and sweet. Hey, we wanted to invite you to this prospect day. We hope you can make it. Maybe it mentions something that's unique to you. Hey, I saw you at X, Y, and Z tournament, and we'd love to have you at our camp in May. What does this mean when you get a personal invite? You are on that coach's list, and this coach has sent it to you directly. Now, even if you aren't interested in that school, it's really important that you are still responding. You should respond if you're not interested, and you should obviously respond if you are interested. The coaching world is small, so it's really important. You want college coaches to be transparent with you. College coaches want you to be transparent with them. So, hey, I'm not going to be able to make it, or hey, at this time, I don't think X, Y, and Z is the right program for me. I will reach out to you if anything were to change. And then if you're interested, obviously replying to the coach, letting them know you're excited and that you'll be there. So again, a personal invite, short, sweet, and to the point. Now, a non-personal invite, it's a little bit more formal, usually starts with dear, your name. It's general phrasing. Nothing is really personalized. Now, it doesn't mean just because you got a non-personal invite that the coach isn't interested in you, but it also doesn't mean that they are 100% are. Usually this happens when you're somewhere in the database. So if you filled out a recruiting questionnaire for any of the programs you're interested in, you will most likely be getting all of the camp invites to that particular program. So this likely wasn't sent by the coach directly. It's usually sent through whatever recruiting database that they are using internally at their campus. So you get this message. How should you respond? If you're interested, again, always be sending a message back, letting the coach know, yes, I'm going to be there. I'm really interested in your program. I'm excited to work with you more. And if you're not interested, there's really no need to respond to this non-personal type of email.
Emily, can I add something?
Yeah.
Like that I always think is big, just because it's all about the athlete, right? And their growth and their own development. So what a great, just one, differentiation and trying to stand out, but an opportunity when you respond of teaching that athlete just professionalism overall and communication with a coach. That alone and how you respond, I think can help you stand out when we're always looking at what's going to help me stand out amongst everybody else.
Yeah, totally. It's, communication is one of the biggest things you can do in your recruiting process. Something I always say is like, unless you're the LeBron James of your sport, like you need to be communicating with college coaches. You can't sit back and wait. And I totally agree, Jamie, in terms of what can differentiate you. Something I always tell the families I work with is sending a thank you note after attending a clinic or a camp, or maybe you had a one-on-one interaction with that coach, that goes a long way, right? And it doesn't need to be very long, very in-depth, but college coaches like to see that, and that can definitely, differentiate you from another recruit.
For sure. Something that'll make that college coach, oh wait, I remember that athlete. I remember that.
Yeah.
I think it's big.
Yeah, totally. Great. So kind of already went over this, but like now let's talk about what events are worth it. So there's one school attending. There's some questions that you should be asking yourself. First and foremost, are you even interested in this school? Is it on your list? But then taking it a step further and just being honest with yourself. I played basketball in college, got invited to a Duke women's basketball camp. I'm 5'5". I got to be honest with myself. There's no way I can actually play there. So I think it's really important when you are getting a lot of these invites. Yes, you may be interested, but is it realistic for you to be able to play there? Does it have your interest academically or socially? In terms of can you play at this level, we definitely encourage student athletes to lean into their athletic advocates. So their club coach or their high school coach, showing them their target list of schools and saying, okay, what's a reach for me? What's a fit? What's a safety? What makes sense for me athletically in terms of my target list? Do you want to learn more about this school and the coaching style? And then another big one, I know it's the last bullet point, but it should be up further. Have you introduced yourself to this coach? Does this coach know who you are? If you can answer yes to most of these questions, it is probably worth attending that one school event. School events with several schools attending. Is there at least one near the top of your favorites list? Again, have you been in contact? Do you match their level of play? And what's the reputation of these events in terms of college coaches attending? I tell student athletes if there's, 2 to 3 schools that you're really interested on your list that are attending the showcase, it's definitely worth it instead of attending those individual ones held by those schools. A little bit bang for your buck, and you're going to get exposure from many schools in just one single event. This is a great little timeline that we put together on really how you should be creating this event strategy. So we have transitioned to that green area in terms of attend early summer events, follow up with interested programs, and adjust schedule based on feedback. But you can absolutely still be researching other events that you think could be a good fit for you this summer season. Maybe you've had conversations over the past few weeks where it does make sense for you to attend a camp clinic or maybe even a showcase where you know that college is going to be. And I think something that's really important too that I like to tell families is if you are going to these clinics or these one school events, definitely take the time to research the area. Are there any other schools that you're interested that maybe you can do a campus tour? Make the most of your trip. If you are attending a camp or clinic and they don't have a tour set up for that particular school or program, take the time to go on that. Going back to what Jamie says, if you're, taking an additional step, like, hey, coach, I went to your event. I also went on a tour. I'm really interested in your program. That's another differentiator for you as you're going through the recruiting process. Great. So how can you make an event worth it? So we talked about the different types of events. We talked about the different invites, when you should be attending a different event. You're thinking, okay, Emily, I have my events. What do I do to make sure I'm making the most out of it? Before the event, I cannot stress this enough. It is so, so important to message college coaches, letting them know where you're going to be. If that's a tournament, if that's a showcase, if that's even their prospect day camper clinic, you need to message them to let them know you were there. You should be including any information that's important for them to identify you at a certain tournament, your team, your jersey number, your position, your schedule for that weekend. College coaches aren't coming to events just looking around trying to find the best athlete. They're coming with a predetermined list of student athletes who have reached out, expressed interest, and let them know that they were going to be there. During the event, stay focused, perform your best, try not to get in your head as you know there's going to be college coaches on the sideline. And as I was saying before, if you are attending an event that's at a college campus, explore the campus. Make sure you're making the most out of your time there. And then again, after the event, we already spoke about this, really goes a long way when you message a coach, thanking them for their time. Maybe, you worked with them on a specific drill that you really liked. Maybe there was a specific aspect about the campus that you liked. Mention those in your email. It's going to go a long way sending that thank you note.
Can I add something?
Yeah.
Okay, so one of the biggest things that I find when I get emails from players that want to attend our camp, they oftentimes don't include their graduation year. So it is very important to include your high school graduation year. The birth date doesn't generally help us. We have to do math or try and figure out what your grad year is. So always just include that as well. It's super important.
So important for coaches to know, right? They have certain grad years, certain positions they're looking to fill, and then also to take it a step further, not to overcomplicate it, but NCAA communication rules. They may not be able to speak to you depending if you're younger. So very important in all communication to have that grad year. We tell student athletes to put that in the subject so coaches know right away what year you are in high school. Great call out. So before an event, as I said, coaches aren't just showing up trying to find the best player. They're coming with that predetermined list. We encourage student athletes to send that schedule to college coaches anywhere from 7 to 10 days before the event. You may be sitting here and saying, Emily, sometimes I get it 3 days before. That's fine. Just send it whenever you get it so a college coach has that. Include that important information, date, time, opponent, so they're able to easily identify you at these events. Now, with the SportsRecruits messaging system, it's really easy to reach out to these college coaches. As you can see from this little video, all you need to do is type in the name of the school. A drop-down appears with the college coaches' names. You simply click on that, and it automatically embeds their email for you. Every email that you send through the SportsRecruits messaging system has a link to your SportsRecruits profile. This link is very special because when a college coach clicks this, they get taken directly to your SportsRecruits profile and you receive a view notification all in real time. You can see if a coach viewed your video, watched your pinned playlist, came to your profile, or opened up your transcript. So that is automatically embedded. There's no need to copy and paste it. Another question I get a lot is, Emily, should I just send it to the head coach? Should I send it to the assistant coach? Send it to everyone on staff. You just never know who's in charge of the recruiting process. It could be the head coach, it could be the assistant coach. So just try to get on as many computer screens as you can and send it to that full staff. Post-event message, thanking the coach for the time, asking for feedback, and then always restating your sincere interest whenever you can. Here's just a quick screenshot of what that looks like when a college coach looks at your SportsRecruits profile. So again, you can see if they viewed your video, if they viewed certain videos within your pinned playlist. This comes with a pro account. With a free account, the first view is on us. And then after that, it will just say a college viewed you. You'll still get the notifications. You just won't know what specific school is viewing you until you do upgrade. All right, finally, you picked your events, you're attending them, you're making sure you're doing everything you need to before and during. What are other things that you can do to really make the most out of your trip? So this is a fun resource that the recruiting guidance team makes families that they work with to really make sure they're mapping out their travel schedule. So you can, really see, are there other schools in the area that I'm interested in that are near where I'm going for this certain event? If so, can I stop by them? Are they en route? Do they have a campus tour or a campus event? Traveling over the summer is super stressful. It's a lot of time. It can be a lot of money. So it's really important to make the most of your trip and see if you can stop at other schools along the way. So it may feel like a lot of work to map this out, but it'll definitely be worth it in terms of just making the most of your time and your money with traveling during this crazy event season that we have coming up. I just spoke a lot there. We have some time for some questions, but before I jump into them, I did have questions for both Heather and Jami that I'd love to ask you guys. First, I'll start with Jami. How can softball players really maximize their Sports Recruits accounts before and after an Alliance Fast Pitch event?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing as I was listening to, just thinking, again, I think it's such great opportunities for athletes to own their process, and they're going to learn so much in regards to their own professional development throughout this too. So just being active, making sure that, treat it like homework in a sense, like create a routine. Like we're softball players, right? So create a routine. So I know each week I have these tournaments. On Mondays, I'm going to do this with my profile. On Tuesdays, I'm going to update my videos on my profile. And I think if you could turn that into your own routine going into these events and do some of that work up front, then it's really going to help. And this is completely a little bit different. But one thing I was thinking about, and it kind of goes back to the heart of what we do in the Alliance, which is competition, and at the heart of what these athletes do and compete. But I think that's an important part when you go to these camps, compete, right? Like, yes, you're going there to learn, and you want to learn the skills and you want to build relationships, but you got to stand out and you have to compete and you have to perform. And I think at the end of the day, if you just go out there and work hard and think about competing at these, you're going to get noticed as well too.
Totally. Yeah, and to add to the Sports Recruit, something that's great with how our platform works is if you add your full event schedule to your Sports Recruits profile, you will automatically get an email from us reminding you, hey, Jami, we see you have an event coming up, and I believe we do 8 days. Make sure to reach out to college coaches. So definitely get your full event schedule on Sports Recruits, because then again, we're able to remind you, hey, don't forget to message college coaches. Cool. So Heather, quick question for you. So I guess what would be the biggest piece of advice that you can give an athlete to prepare for an on-deck event?
To prepare for an on-deck event, I would say really messaging coaches beforehand, to let them know that you're going to be participating. Whether or not they attend, doesn't necessarily mean that they're not going to follow up with us. So the coaches knowing that you're at least in one of our camps goes a long way. I would also say, breathe. I think a lot of kids come into camps and situations like this and they're so tense and they're so nervous and they've, had to drive with their mom and dad in the car and they're like, okay, you have to be great. And you do want to be great every day, but but softball is a sport of failure. And I think being able to recover from that and not have the pressure all the time to feel like you can't fail. I think that sets you up to be able to just kind of play your best, be who you are on the field and not have it overwhelm you.
Heather, I would build off that too. I remember in college, my college coach was big on your attitude and your effort are the two things that you could control. And so even in that setting, they're watching that, right? They're watching how, because you are going to fail at times, right? So how do you respond? How do you bounce back from that? So I think that's a big, just being realistic with that's going to happen. But if you can control those things, like your effort and your attitude when you fail, it's noticeable by these colleges.
Yeah, we have like a full webinar just talking about the intangibles and how coaches are literally always watching. Does a call not go your way? How are you going to react? Coaches are watching that. Are you taking your, ball bag, your bat bag back to the car? Are you making your parents carry it? Right. So like these little things coaches will notice. So I think that's really important. And, just play your game, take a deep breath, because it can feel like a lot of pressure, especially if you're not playing with your team or people you feel comfortable with, right?
Also, to add to that, the coaches watch the parents as well.
Yeah.
That it's a family thing. A lot of, like you guys spend a lot of money going to camps, going to college. The parents become friends with the other parents, but it's such a big part that the coaches watch the parents and how parents interact with other parents as well.
Yeah, you're recruiting the whole family in a sense when you recruit a student athlete. Um, cool. We have a question that came in that I think any of us can grab. What would you say is a good point in time to start the recruiting process, age group wise?
Heather, you want to take it first?
Go ahead, Jamie, and I can jump in after you.
I mean, I'd like to say, high school. I think it's changed a little bit in our industry where, several years ago, unfortunately, yes, they were at 12U tournaments that I hosted, but that's not the case anymore. But I think starting to be realistic in your freshman year of just understanding what are your own interests, and just starting paying attention to like, am I okay being far away from home, and starting, what are my skill sets? What are others in my age group doing? That's what one of the things with the Alliance, I hope we can help parents is I'm a 14 under athlete and my on deck scores are this, my overhand velocity is here. Where is that in comparison to other 14-year-olds of my age group? And not saying that's the end all, right? Because you can still get better. But I think trying to take a kind of a self-assessment of when you get to that 14 under level and starting to look around. What do you think, Heather? You probably have more
Yeah,
exact.
I would agree. I think start the recruiting process so early because there is that pressure to go to lots of camps and, get the picture with the head coach at the end of the camp and all of that. I think that it's really a preference for the family too. If you want to spend the money, starting in 8th grade to be going to different camps, and maybe you're going to camps regionally, but with softball, I think the trend is to start younger. We have really tried to focus on mainly the for this summer 2027s. And it's really shown with the college coaches that maybe the recruiting process doesn't need to start as early as it has.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's something we say at SportsRecruits is every family is different. Like there's no perfect time and you should start when you feel comfortable. But I think to both of your points, like early on, gather your information, at least put it in one place for college coaches to see. And then when you're ready to send those messages, everything's there. You can just start right away. So, start gathering your stats, start putting your video together, start thinking about your target list, and that's going to change. The target list you make in 8th grade will probably be very different than you make as a sophomore in high school. So definitely, and also dependent too on, do you want to play D1 or D2, D3, NAIA, and, how popular are the schools you're interested in? So.
It's a good point because you don't need to commit or do any of those things at 14U. I think it's kind of an internal assessment, like you said, of tapping into the tools that you have at SportsRecruits and building those and looking at these travel ball organizations, right? That's a huge part in the recruiting. Unfortunately, recruiting is not done in high school near as much at the level that it's done in travel ball. So making sure you're looking at travel ball organizations and tryouts and what tournaments and events that they're playing in.
Yeah, because it's hard because when college are playing their season, that's when you're playing in high school. So it's hard for them to travel. That's why, as Jamie's saying, club ball is so important. Going to these events is so, so important over the summer.
Sure.
Cool. So I just threw a bunch of links into the chat. First one we have here, if you're interested in any SportsRecruits packages and want to talk to someone over here on our team, you can schedule a time on that calendar. If you're a club that's looking to, I think that link is actually wrong. I'll grab that right link. But if you're a club that's looking, that's on Alliance, that's looking to come onto SportsRecruits, if you are looking to check out the OnDeck softball upcoming showcase, we threw that link in there. Heather, I don't know if you want to talk about that at all. That one in California.
Sure. We have started partnering with it's not a smaller tournament anymore, but a tournament in Northern California. They wanted us to come in and do a camp. We're going to come in and we did one with them in the fall and it went really well. It's open to any player that's in the area. I know there's two big tournaments there that weekend. The tournament that we are working with, that is California Fastpitch tournament. And then there's another tournament just down the road. It's June 20th, and it's open to anybody that wants to come and just get evaluated by us. The rest of our summer camps are by invitation only. We do go out and scout games just like college coaches do. They're all pretty much full at this point. We have a few spots left. But I think that this is a good opportunity for players that maybe want to get a baseline evaluation from us and their ODM numbers.
Nice. Thank you. And then I'm just going to pull also Alliance's website here to throw in as well. Alliance is an incredible partner. We love their mission and feel like, we really do align on what we're trying to do for student athletes. We understand the recruiting process is stressful. So both of these organizations are really doing our best to ease that level and really provide you the tools that you need through the recruiting process. So Jami, thanks for letting us, jump into this recruit week. You guys are giving your athletes a ton of incredible information before, we really enter such a busy time.
I appreciate it. And SportsRecruits has been incredible in working with us. I actually, I just added a direct link of how specifically, especially with SportsRecruits, that we can in recruiting. It's become a huge part of our mission. It just, I guess, realizing the role that Alliance can play too in helping. We really want to empower the parents as well. We understand the coaches and the organization, recruiting coordinators, things play a big role, but how can we help those parents even learn, what questions to ask and where to get started? We understand it. It's hard, and everybody is out there just trying to do what's best for their athletes. But fortunately, in our sport, if we can point people to the right resources, such as SportsRecruits, and I absolutely love OnDeck and the people that are involved, because it's a true passion for helping these families. So this is why partnerships matter here.
Yeah, totally. Well, Heather, Jami, thank you so much for joining me today. Talked about a lot of good stuff, gave you guys a lot of good information. We're going to send a follow-up with a recording of this and all of the links we shared in the chat. I know it was a little manic there for a second, but I'll make sure everyone who registered and also attended has all these links. And yeah, we wish you the best of luck with this upcoming crazy event season.
Good luck.
Thanks,
guys. Bye.